Hello, hi, what is up everyone? My name is Maris and today I will be sharing with you my September TBR, aka my Bookoplathon TBR. Now, to anyone unaware of what Bookoplathon is, I will have everything linked down below, but essentially it is a readathon created by Becca and the Books based on her own TBR game, Bookopoly. All you need to do really is you use two six-sided dice, you roll those dice, you move along a board, and you get prompts based on where you land on the board. And then you pick a book to correspond to that prompt. And if you roll a double, you just need to add an extra roll onto your dedicated number of rolls that you've selected to do. For me, I've selected to do 5. If I were to roll a double at any point, I would add an extra roll onto that and do 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever amount of rolls that I need to do. That's the basic premise. I don't have any more introductory stuff to do. Everything will be linked down below. Let's get into the rolls. Roll was a 10, which landed me on Dice Roll Roulette. Now, the way this works is you roll 2 dice and whatever combination you get, you multiply it by 50 because every dot is 50 pages, and you basically try to find a book that is as close to that number as possible. So I rolled, I got an 8, and that means I need to find a book that is 400 pages long. If I struggle, it is meant to be like 375 to 425-ish. But I don't need to worry about that because I found a book that is exactly 400 pages. The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Goss. I don't know all too much about the books that I choose because I kind of forget synopses very quickly. This is basically about these daughters of famous fictional figures like Jekyll and Hyde and Frankenstein. These are the only ones I can think of at the minute, but it's basically their daughters as they come together and discover secret societies and all sorts of wicked plans going on around them and kind of dismantle them, I think. And Sherlock Holmes and Watson are involved in some way. Do not quote me on any of this book's synopses because I could be so off on it, but it sounds really fun. It sounds really interesting. It's kind of like girls running the show, and that sounds like amazing time to me. So book number 1 on my TBR is this. Number 2 got me a 4, which gave me the prompt to read a book that is either set or published in or after the year 2020. It can be a futuristic story, it can be literally 2020, whatever. I had so many books to choose from for this because there are so many books that I've got that are published since 2020, and I have quite a few books that are like kind of futuristic. So honestly, I could have gone with so many different options, but I am choosing The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I did know the name, why did I forget? This is kind of about this girl who receives an inheritance from this billionaire. She doesn't know why, and neither does the family of the billionaire. All the relatives of the billionaire who believe that that inheritance should have been theirs. So she goes to live in the mansion where these family members and relatives live. I think there's like a deadly game or something involved, or just a very dangerous game. I'm not quite sure. It is a young adult thriller that everyone seems to be loving, and I have been wanting to read more thrillers, and I feel like young adult is a great way for me to kind of ease my way into more thrillers. So here we go. Roll number 3 was a 5, and that got me the prompt to read my favorite genre. My favorite genre, hands down, is fantasy. Not a single doubt about it. I am gonna kind of go for something that technically works, but I don't believe it's the most fantasy-esque fantasy out there. And that book is The Oak Leaf Bearers, which is the 4th book in the Ranger's Apprentice series. Now, technically it is set in a made-up world, kind of like the medieval times, but there aren't any real fantastical elements past the 2nd book. I understand that it doesn't really have anything magical or fantastical really from that point on, but it is technically in a made-up fantasy world, so I am counting it because I do want to read on in the series. I really enjoyed the 3rd and I'm really excited to continue on. I have no idea what to expect. I kind of go into these books without real knowledge of anything upcoming. This is the most vague title so far because that's kind of like a hint at it's gonna be about Rangers, but considering that the series itself is called Ranger's Apprentice, you already know that, so there's no bloody hint at anything that will be happening. I'm excited to see where the story goes from where it left off. Role number 4 was a 7 that led me into the prompt, a book that features romance. I'm pretty sure I have quite a few books that will work for this, but I'm not reading a straight up romance book because I'm not in the mood for that. I have a couple books that I'm really excited to read and I'm really in the mood to read, but I don't know if they would work for this because I have no idea whether there's any romantic subplots or anything like that. So I decided to go for something that's a fairly safe bet for a book that features romance. This One Kingdom by Tahara Mafi. I don't really know all too much about what this is, other than it follows this girl who is hiding in plain sight as a servant, but she's technically the long-lost heir to the throne of a Jin kingdom. And it has to do with clashing kingdoms, it has to do with forbidden romance, aka it fits for this prompt, and that's all I really need to know. I'm excited. Also, I really need to tackle more of the books that I've gotten in Illumicrate boxes because I have been getting books for the last year and I have read, I think, exactly one of them. So I wanted to get at least one on and actually like get on with tackling these. But I'm really excited. It sounds like a fun time. It sounds like a great time. We're on to role number 5 that landed me on a 5, and that gave me a book with a first-person perspective. I struggled to find a book because for some reason most books are either in third person or they have multiple perspectives. So this was actually a lot harder than I thought it would be. In the end, I decided to go with Traitor's Blade by Sebastian de Castell. This is basically about the Great Goats who were in the service of the king, but the king is now dead, and they're kind of now glorified bodyguards who don't get paid to some noblemen, and the nobleman happens to get killed, and there seems to be some sort of a conspiracy that ends up with the Greatcoats being held responsible for that death and being suspected of doing the, killing part. I don't fully know anything else, but it sounds great. It is a 5-star prediction, and I am actually really hyped to get around to this. It sounds like such a fun and crazy time that I'm so here for it. So you may recall how I said that I'll do 5 roles. Yeah? I've been doing so well that I want to push my luck. I'm gonna go for a 6th roll. Watch me regret this a second later. I'm regretting it a second later. I rolled 6 on my 6th roll, which wouldn't be a problem if it weren't for the fact that it was a double 3. So that means my extra last second roll ended up with being at least an extra 2 rolls. Let's talk about the prompt that I got. Big book. Of course it was a big book. What else would it be? But I have a book here that definitely qualifies. It's a chunker of a book. And that is The First Binding by R.R. Verdi. I could not tell you what this book is about because it's 800 something pages and it is so vague in the synopses that I can't even really give you an idea of what this is, other than it's something to do with legends being based on truths but also equally as much on lies, and the main character kinda tells their side of the story. I know that it follows 2 characters meeting in a tavern, recounting their side of the event and narration and whatnot. It's 800 pages. This is all I know. I am so scared to go into this. I'm also excited, but like, I'm scared because this is a hunk of a book. But since I did do that 6th roll that ended up with a double, here is my 7th roll. So, am I regretting my decision yet? Very much so. Roll number 7 was also a double. Another double 3, by the way. And that landed me on small book, which is probably like the best case scenario for this. But still, that means I have an 8th roll coming up. I'm still scared. But my choice for small book is Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 1. I don't fully know much about this other than in areas of negative energy, curses are formed. And if the curses and the negative energy grows to be very, very large, it creates artifacts that can become very dangerous to the areas and people and whatnot. I may be completely butchering this synopsis. I'm kind of going based off of what my boyfriend has told me about it because technically this is his book. It sounds great even if I butcher the synopsis. I think that was what it was, but that's like the small book that I'm gonna be going with because I need something to lighten the load of what I have so far. Roll number 8 did not give me any more doubles. Whew! I'm very glad about that. But I did roll another 5 and that landed me on text and pattern. And for that, I may be stretching it ever so slightly because I'm not sure if this can be fully counted. But I'm gonna count it because I want to read it and I've already started reading this. So it is Beasts of Ruin. This is the sequel to Beasts of Prey, which is the last book that I read in the month of August. This is basically following 2 characters, Coffee and Ekon, as the journey continues on from where they left off last book. I'm being so super vague because I don't want to give any spoilers. All I can tell you is that now their stories are going in different directions and they're trying to come back together. I don't know how much of a spoiler that is, but that's all I'm gonna say about it. I really enjoyed the first book. I gave it 4 stars and I'm really excited to continue on. I'm doing that already, so you know, I just want to continue and have a great time with going on with the story and seeing more of the world and more of the magic. After all of that and the stupid decision of adding an extra roll, this here is my TBR. This is 8 books and 3,414 pages. I'm gonna correct myself somewhere if I'm wrong, but I believe that was the number. I am scared. I have never read that many pages in a single month. This is gonna be a challenge and a half, and I have shown this stack to my boyfriend, and his response was, "You're not gonna read this in 2 months." So my expectations are down below and about as low as his. Here we go. This is heavy. I'm gonna put it down now. But there you have it. This is what I'm gonna be aiming for in the month of September. I may be switching out books for prompts if I see the need for it. I am so scared. I have found a couple audiobooks for a few of these books, so that will help me out a little bit at least. bring this month on and let's see how much I can manage to read. That was the video. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know down below how the rolls were for you, and if you're participating, what are you reading? What are you excited for? If you've read any of the books that I have mentioned, drop it down below. We can have a chat. That's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!